Hey traders, my morning recap. I took it a lot lighter today than I did all week long. I was only going quarter lot size on any type of positions, and I was cutting things super short. And on top of all that, I didn't even touch this week's options. I went completely out to next week's options, so they by themselves move a lot slower by nature. So I was really going on the defensive going into today's. I've had a really good week, and I wasn't about to give it all back. But basically, I had this title of some different scenarios that's going to happen today. And basically, I think we're going to have a hybrid of my scenarios going into the close. We got the market rebound with the short squeeze and everything. But what I'm expecting to see going into the close, I'm going to look for selling pressure, forced selling pressure into the close because I think we crossed a critical support level yesterday, and there is some big money sellers that they're trying to liquidate their positions, and we're going to have on balance selling going into the final hour and a half of close that have to be liquidated, giving increased selling pressure to the markets. So that's a theory that I've got going on here. I did some trades today, basically four stocks. All of them I thought had potential and stuff. And I looked at the NVIDIA puts. Okay, well, what I started with was Apple. Um, Facebook and Apple this morning were my first trades. And actually, my first trade was Facebook, and it was up slightly more there at the open. And so let me go to my charts and I'll explain why I took those trades. Okay, what was going on with Apple today? We were opening. Come on, AutoZone. Okay, we were opening right above the 100 SMA on Apple this morning, or on Facebook this morning. And so basically, my plan was I actually initiated the puts, and I was immediately into the green side on the puts. And like I said, it's only a quarter lot. But my theory on this trade was of all the FANG stocks, in my opinion, Facebook is the weakest of them. It is a broken chart pattern, in my opinion. And so, if I can prove it to you on my longer term time frames, but that is my bias coming in today, and basically if I got a closing candle above the opening candle, I was going to check it for a loss, but I didn't even get that immediately. I came down there, so I made a few bucks on it. Didn't get rich on it or anything like that, but I used the 100 EMA on the 5 minute, and we were right into pivot uh, point resistance. So that's why I initiated that, because we had the gap up in the markets, and I didn't think we'd have continuation, which we could have had continuation, but I thought Facebook was one of my favorites for the short side. Then Apple, I was actually initially thinking the call side because of the upgrade, but I'm telling you one thing that I have noticed here lately: if there's a big upgrade on the stocks tend to pop up on that upgrade, and for the past 2 weeks, they sell the stocks off on the upgrade. The news is a sell. It's not a buy, it's a sell. Okay. So I did manage right out of the gate this morning to catch Facebook puts, and boom, it really tanked pretty quick there. So managed to make a nice little profit. That was my main profit for the day on that one little move on Apple to the downside, and so I was really happy with that. And so basically, I do think the selling pressure on Apple yesterday's afternoon was something you better not ignore. And that to me is more important than anything going on today in today's session. There was a big seller in Apple yesterday afternoon, so I have a feeling we're going into the afternoon and potentially seeing additional selling pressure on Apple. And so I have targets around 225 or so, and so keep that in mind going forward. And all my, basically, so far today on my alerts, I am just getting BS, just a bunch of BS alerts on all day, all morning long. And when you can't even get any proper alerts and stuff, this market's just really not going anywhere. and there's really no momentum of any kind unless you're going to continue to the downside, in my opinion, because we are in a bear market. So keep that in mind. Bed Bath and Beyond there, it looks like it's got some momentum to the downside, but really not a whole lot going on here in that regard. Okay. Okay, the next thing I did was Nvidia, similar situation. Uh, 100 SMA. Uh, I thought Nvidia was going to be breaking down here, so I did initiate some puts on Nvidia down here for a continuation to the downside. You know, I instead of getting it above the 100, I got it down here, and it started going against me a little bit. So I did check this to the curb, and you know, obviously I made the right decision. But now we're coming right back down again. I think the semiconductors are broken, and pops should be shorted, in my opinion, until proven otherwise. So just keep that in mind going forward here. You know, um, that's something to keep on your. So that suggests that we might be going right back down to the lows by the close today. So if anything, if I was doing Nvidia, I would be trying to push it to the downside for a responsive close to the 218 area, because we got the selling pressure at the end of the day, but we had actually gotten that selling pressure earlier in the day as well. So that is my theory for Nvidia going forward. Um, I might actually get the puts again. We'll see. But that's something I've got on my watch here for the afternoon session is Nvidia. Then I also bought Alibaba. Was showing some relative strength this morning, and uh, it was way above the 100 EMA, and unfortunately, it had some. I thought it was going to come crashing down into that quite earlier today, but now we're showing relative strength. I had bought the Alibaba puts for a big crash down here, look below scenario, and back. And once you got back into look into that range, could actually have seen continuation. So that was my theory on the trade, thinking we were going to be coming to crashing down, and I could see real quick like it wasn't going anywhere, so I went and checked it for break even on that trade as well. And then a little bit later, I tried Apple again and broke even on that trade. So basically, you know, that was it for me. I had every intention of coming in here with a very muted trading plan today, considering the implied volatilities were just jacked to the moon on the weeklies, and I absolutely refuse to trade this week's lotto options. So I was trading next week's options. So that made things even move a little bit slower than normal on top of everything else. So that's just some things I'm looking at here. But I am thinking the markets are going to probably uh, revert lower into the afternoon session. So just keep that in mind. We can't even, you see this downtrending line? We are having the darndest time to just to hold out above that. I am thinking we're going to be coming down pretty hard here in the afternoon hours on these markets. So just keep that in mind going forward here. I think there is selling pressure waiting to really hit this afternoon. So it's just something to keep on your watch. I'm perfectly fine sitting out, but I'm going to wait till about 2 o'clock, and then I might start trading again. This is just pretty much a chop fest right now, and so there's just no sense me, you know, putting my money to work here and just getting chopped to death. So that's what I got to say. Be sure and like the video if you like it, and stuff if you can. But pretty much had a really great week, and I actually finished it off in the green. So I'm happy with how things turned out. Thanks a lot.